Hi, welcome back. It's Confessions from the Darkside, and today we have religion and horror. Yes, another part of the religious horror series that we have been doing for the past few months. And today we are going to discuss religious zealots and fanaticism. Hi, I'm Darcy Darkness, and this is Confessions from the Darkside. I'm going to start with a disclaimer because, come on, it's me. And we always do a disclaimer just in case there may be some adult content, should we say. So the disclaimer is as follows. You know it by now, we are full of so much adult content. Some may think it's unnecessary, some of you may think that this isn't needed. If you are one of those people, then thanks for checking us out, but I will say this only once. If you can't stand the hate, then get the fuck out of my kitchen. Now, for everyone else who likes what we have here, then regular scheduled programming will continue. Shall we get started? Are we ready? So this is another installment from our series in religion and horror movies. This subgenre / topic, we wanted to give its proper glory, so we decided to break down each and every topic within the subgenre and the topics an episode to properly discuss and break down all that is involved, as it's a huge topic and has many layers and levels that make up to what we have today in this subgenre within horror. I'm just going to ask a few questions and we're going to answer them throughout the podcast today. Has it been properly shown in full? Religious zealots and fanaticism. Has it been properly represented? Did you know a lot of these topics are based on reality but with dramatization for the big screen? Do we want to see more history, more examples of this topic in this subgenre so we can better understand it? Is this what we are missing? Why is this topic so misunderstood? Would you agree that this topic is portrayed incorrectly and the concept starts off well and good but gets lost in translation? I know this religion and horror series may not be for everyone and a lot of people will either come at us or say things. But as we said before, if it's in a movie and especially in horror, then people are talking about it and have been talking about it. Just because you don't want to hear about it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist or no one is going to discuss it. Because there's plenty of movies over the years in horror that have covered religious zealots and fanaticism. And again, a lot of movies are based on reality and based on real life events that have been dramatized. So we can get a feel for each and every event, life event. But you all know that Hollywood takes it and makes it a drama, like most things. Hollywood, they seem to just ruin a lot of things. So let's dive into some movies that we're going to talk about today as well. There's a few Hollywood big ones and there's some little ones and some classics. That again, there'll be a few overlapping movies that cover many different topics within this series because it's religion and horror. And can't really have one without the other when you're actually talking about certain types of topics in this subgenre. So the definition of a religious zealot is as follows. An individual who has very strong feelings about the subject that they are passionate about. Haha, I must be a zealot then, by definition it seems so. Learning so much about myself here, by the way. The person wants others to have those feelings about this subject, so in turn fanaticism of a subject that no matter how much you discuss this subject, they will not budge whether they are right or wrong. It's their belief. Is being a fanatic or a zealot a bad thing? Not necessarily, depending on what cray, idea or subject you are so passionate about. There are many levels of zealot, and the more you get into this, you see the evolution of fanaticism changing and how it changes the person and the subject. I do feel personally that religious fanaticism and zealots can become dangerous and should be approached with caution, as you never know how far off the reservation they get for their beliefs and their passions for their religion or their religious deity, etc. And also taps into their mental health as this becomes, well, their life, their work, their job to spread this again. They think they are saving you, or they think that without this knowledge you will not survive life without it. This is when it becomes an addiction, and that they will do anything to keep the level of interest and belief at its highest. So conflicting beliefs and facts of your own versus the zealot, well, do you want to be at the end of that crazy barrel of monkeys? No, we don't. It's depending on the level of fanaticism, and zealot depends on how militant they are, I suppose. The Bible itself dealt with zealots. So there are stories of this in the world's biggest book of fiction, which is the Bible itself. Again, don't come for me. I was brought up as a Catholic, and well, having questions about the faith that you're brought up in, well, always got me into trouble for honestly asking questions. They either didn't have the answers to them, or they just didn't want to, so they lied about it. Because they didn't want you to know, so there is this, and again, I will say this, me, about myself, don't come for any of us. If you have a problem, let's talk like mature adults or get the fuck out my kitchen, like I said in the disclaimer. So, the movies that I'm going to talk, well, I'm going to list a few, and I'm going to talk about the ones that I feel that are portrayed well as a zealot or fanaticism, or both. So first up we have Margaret White and Carrie, both the original and the remake. Both mothers of Carrie were perfect prime examples of zealots, but I felt Julianne Moore was a perfect religious freak and nut job. She done it really, really well. She had look when she was talking to Carrie, especially when she was trying to tell her that her daughter was evil or her daughter shouldn't be thinking these things, and her daughter was doing things that a normal teenager would do. She was inquisitive and wanted to know what it was like to go to a dance and talk to boys and just do normal teenager things, and her mother had this weird, controlling, manipulative side. I don't even think it's a side. I think both of her sides were like that. Saying she only has two sides. Well, she had the mother, the religion, and she had the scorned wife because her husband left her, and she blames Carrie for this. She blames Carrie for being born and for her pushing her father away and saying that it was all her fault, when actually it was most likely the mother's fault and the father's fault for maybe getting married and having a child, or having a child and having to get married because of how you couldn't have sex before marriage and all that carry on. So the mother, it seems to, she probably was religious to start with, but when that kind of stuff happens, especially a grief, a death, even though it's not an actual physical death of someone, it's the death of a marriage, the grief of a marriage, it kind of makes people get immersive in their hobbies and they immerse themselves into something that they know, something that they feel safe, like security feeling, and it becomes their life. You see how she treats Carrie, and Carrie obviously is a girl who is struggling to be a teenager and struggling to fit in with society and fit in with her peers, because she is brought up differently and she is brought up in a very, very strict way, but she's very kind of like a simple girl who just wants her mum to see her, as her daughter, see her as a woman, see her as a human being, just see her as her kin, see her as mum, like, I love you, just see me type of thing. But the mum is more interested in reading Bible passages and spouting quotes from the Bible at her daughter, because she either one can't speak to her because she doesn't know how to, or she doesn't want to speak to her, and she can't really approach the subject anyway. So I do feel that Julianne Moore actually played it really well. I was a big fan of a lot of the aspects of the remake of Carrie, but I really liked Julianne Moore. I thought she was brilliant in it. She is a really good actress, and if you haven't seen it, then please go watch it. I really do think it is a good portrayal of Carrie, especially for the time it came out, because again, the original one was out in the 70s, and it was, again, most likely normal for someone to act that way, just because the way the world was. Obviously, it was we had less technology and we did more things as a family, more things that maybe centered around religion or centered around this, whereas now, and I think American Gods actually describes it more. You've got the old gods and you've got the new gods, and the new gods is technology, and literally everyone's selling their soul and bowing down to technology. It's not about a deity, it's about technology. So I do feel Carrie in itself does fulfill basically what I'm trying to explain, what zealots and fanaticism can be like. Basically, Carrie's mother is like that. Next up, we have The Prophecy, and The Prophecy's got Christopher Walken and also Viggo Mortensen. It has Eric Stoltz, Virginia Madsen. There's so many amazing people in this movie, including Steve Heitner as well, Elias Koteas. There is such a good range of talent in this movie, and it's weird to see Viggo say some of the things that he has to say in this, and he's got some memorable lines in it that you could never believe that, Arian's saying this. But hey, prophecy basically is based in our world, but it's again about a prophecy on Earth, like good versus evil. And Christopher Walken is just fucking brilliant. I do love me a Christopher Walken film, but it was very dark. It was out in 1995, so next year it'll be like 30 year old. And it's still a movie that you can watch and enjoy and love. And if you've never seen it before, I do highly recommend it. There is 3 of them and they are all good. But watching Christopher Walken, he's just brilliant. Again, just wow. It's just, you need to watch it. It's so, so good. It's more about people's beliefs. Again, you'll find a lot of movies and things where it's trying to say that people have lost their way, lost their faith. Again, every movie has its zealots, I suppose. Faith has a zealot and fanatic. And in each movie that I'm going to be describing, they all describe it in their own way for their story. Makes much sense that I go through them. I absolutely love Carrie, if you didn't realise. So I could talk about it all day. So the next one we have is The Devil's Advocate. Again, that's Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. Again, really, really good movie. Really good cast. It's under a fantasy and mystery, thriller and drama. And the tagline is "Don't trust the devil" on IMDb. Can you really trust God though when you think about it? Again, we had this discussion about in the Exorcism one part, and it's basically the same. We have Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, Charlize Theron, Jeffrey Jones. Again, really good cast. Came out in 1997. Again, is a really, really old movie based on a lawyer basically getting a job. He's offered a job in like one of the big, huge, like powerful law firms. And as you can imagine, a lawyer who's obviously qualified and looking for obviously jobs and things like that and experience to go into this place where he is a lawyer who apparently has a really good winning streak. And as you can imagine, when you take a job or you're about to take a job and you find out, salary and what you're going to do and what's expected of you type thing. A lawyer is again a skilled job, and some people are lawyers and are okay and they've got a degree and all that carry on. They are a lawyer, but then there's people out there who are very, very talented, and this is how they're portraying Keanu Reeves' character. He's a very, very talented, skilled attorney. He never loses, and he gets this job in this big, huge, really rich type, powerful law firm. And it's about him changing when he becomes basically this lawyer at this firm. And Al Pacino plays his character really, really well, and you can tell there's something much more about him that isn't just lawyer. The tagline for this is "Don't trust the devil." So he has made a deal with the devil. And as you can imagine, like in the law firm, it's basically you can tell, it kind of gave me like Eyes Wide Shut type vibes for like that sort of fanaticism, like not like secret society, but it's just like Eyes Wide Shut was obviously based on another religion / cult, obviously, and I can see aspects of that in this film as well, just slightly, in just the way like the women are in it. It was just it kind of just reminded me again, very Ninth Gate like as well. It has a vibe, I think, for that time. The movies did have similar storylines, and it was like when you've seen one, you've seen them all, but you haven't type thing. So I did really enjoy Keanu Reeves in that film and Al Pacino. And that was like an early one. Charlize Theron. I can't pronounce her name, I'm sorry, but have issues. So if you haven't seen Devil's Advocate, I do recommend it. It's a very good movie and a very good cast. So we have Pelly in Midsommar. And again, Midsommar is based on, again, yes, it's religious fanaticism and zealots, but it's also cults as well. I have seen this film once, and I do like one of the actors that's in it. What's his name? He was in Strange Angel, and he was also in The Peripheral as well, which... And Florence Pugh is brilliant in it, but she is a very, very talented woman, very, very talented actress. So yeah, his name's Jack Rayner. He's a really good actor as well. We get William Poulter in it, or Poulter. Again, another really good British actor that I was surprised he was actually from the UK. Midsummer is basically they travel to Europe and they end up in this wee Swedish town. And in Sweden, you do get midsummer, and they do have a lot of festivals and celebrations, like old worldly things, obviously from like Vikings and things like that. They have their own traditions and the kind of Scandinavian countries, and they have, again, Wicker Man is very, very similar to that as well, where it's basically a small place, people sacrifice, whether it's for land or it's basically for your society, basically. In this case, it's a pagan cult, but they portray paganism like this when, again, I don't think it's actually as accurate as it could be. If they just went by the actual Midsummer and the Scandinavian countries, you could have easily found some sort of lore about that there. And the cult gets all crazy and kills and all that carry on. It is a very good movie. Another kind of take on it. Absolutely love Florence. She was brilliant. Again, it comes under drama, horror, mystery, and thriller, and it is all these things. Not many films are 18 these days, but that was an 18. So it's just, again, it's one of those movies that you still remember. I always remember the cover, and I always remember, them wearing the kind of headpieces with like the flower arrangements and stuff. That's really, like, again, that's incredibly normal in a lot of cultures and a lot of countries all over the world where they have that as part of a ritual. So again, yes, in that small town, obviously, it's kind of like they expect people to go on holiday there. They expect tourists. So therefore, especially if people are going there backpacking and stuff, I think they expect basically to take a few and not basically be. Because people go missing. It sounds horrible. People do go missing when they do go travelling. We live in a messed up world even with or without religion behind us. There's a lot of shit that happens. Having a few people disappear is not uncommon, put it that way, especially if you live far away. So there's another. We've got Rosemary's Baby. Rosemary's Baby has been remade into a TV show. It was out a long, long time ago, but that's about a couple who are trying for a baby who move into like a big, like, kind of private apartment building, kind of similar, only murders in the building type thing. It's like a big, fancy apartment, not even complex, just building, and this young couple, they have these weird ass neighbours, basically a wee bit more intrusive, I think, more than anything else, creepy as fuck, who literally kind of insert themselves into the young couple's life. They are part of a cult, basically, and they are basically, well, they portray them as Satanists, and it was Roman Polanski film originally. It has Mia Farrow in it in the original. There's a lot of controversy when this film came out as well because of it, but again, it's a drama horror. The neighbours, I think the neighbours, that they weren't as creepy in the remake of the TV show. They were still peculiar, but they were peculiar for like the 20th century or the 21st century, should I say. So you will get a different sort of creepy, a different type of fear from the remake show miniseries to the actual original movie, because the original movie was out in the 70s. And this horror movie actually won an Oscar, I believe. So the tagline for this, as I just looked it up, it's not what you were expecting. Not what you're expecting. No, it's not what you were expecting. It was an 18 as well. But back then, a movie like that, with these sort of topics like religion and cults, manipulation type thing, this would most likely be an 18 because of those subjects alone. It's basically the neighbours are part of a coven, and they use the new couple basically to try and bring forth the Antichrist, basically, if they manage to get them pregnant from having rituals and just controlling the couple to get pregnant, basically, so they can bring forth the Satan, basically. It's again one of the ones you have to think about, which is good. And when you think you can't get any more crazy, they become crazier. So would you trust random neighbours that you just moved into a place and they started being overly helpful? Would you fuck? You would think that there was something going on. Maybe in that time people didn't and people weren't as paranoid as they are today, but I don't know, I sure as hell would be. Good old classic, The Omen, again. If you weren't aware, Damien is a little boy who is very peculiar himself. His parents realise that there's something wrong with their child. No shit. Things keep happening. People keep dying around him. There's animals that are scared of him. They bear teeth. All three films are a wee bit obscure. He had 666, which is actually 999, as they said, like the coming of the 21st century type thing, the end of the world, the Antichrist, and Damien, the devil, and the child, or the devil inhabiting the child. Is it really an exorcism? Is it him? Is it him incarnate, really? But his nanny is, again, mental, and she is, we're doing this for you, Damien, is what she says. I'm doing this for you, Damien, as she ties a rope around her neck and she just throws herself back into this big, beautiful window in their house at Damien's birthday, and he is not bothered by it at all. And his mum's holding him, trying to stop him from seeing this traumatic event, and he's actually looking at the side, not bothered in the fucking slightest. Again, it's another thing about a cult, and again, fanaticism and zealots, basically. His mum and his dad especially, know that there's something wrong. There's just so much going on because of the followers, the zealots. They just can't really get away from the fact that their son isn't their son, or is he his son? But he's been created and he was born to bring forth the apocalypse, basically. And the believers of who Damien is and what he's actually here to do, they believe it enough to actually protect him from his own family, from anyone else who would want to hurt him, take him out, or take him away, I think, and stop him from the path that he's actually supposed to be on. And again, The Omen, there is a prequel this year that's coming out called The First Omen, and it has been a TV show as well, and it was cancelled, funnily enough, because people didn't really get it. The wee boy in The Omen is called Harvey Stevens, and he is one really crazy looking little boy. But again, they make him like that the way they have his hair and stuff. You've got Gregory Peck, who plays Damien's dad, Robert Thorne, and Lee Remick, who plays Catherine Thorne, who plays his mother. David Warner's in it. Patrick Troughton, Billy Whitelaw. There is, again, lots and lots and lots of good people in this, and the movie came out in, what year was it? 1976, so I wasn't born yet. Damien can make it, you can see him doing so many different things. His parents don't believe it at first, but again, weird shit happens around him. But it's the protection of the little boy with these adults that think he is Satan and he is going to bring forth the apocalypse. And that's what The Omen is really about. So I think most people have actually seen The Omen because, again, it is a classic horror movie. Next movie is Red State. I've only heard about this movie because Kevin Smith kind of annoys me. I used to love Kevin Smith films, but he kind of sold out and made everything woke, so no thank you. Thank you for destroying him, and I hate you. William and the Witch. I haven't actually seen this. I've seen like lots of clips and trailers for it, but she's one of my things that I want to watch. David Joseph and The Invitation. Again, I haven't seen it, but again on a list. Mrs. Carmody and The Mist. Now, the actress that plays her always plays mentalists or always plays characters where she's got a few screw loose somewhere. And The Mist is actually a remake as well, the one I'm talking about. I'm not talking the original one. There is, yeah, I prefer that one anyway. Thomas Jane, yeah, her name's Marsha Gay Harden. She plays Mrs. Carmody, and again, she is a religious zealot who basically talks about how us as humans, that we've actually brought forth this, it's all our fault, and it's like Jesus, God is going to save us, basically. She is incredibly. She plays a lot of characters where she is a wee bit crazy, a wee bit nutty, but she suits that character. Usually, actors who play that role are actually the exact opposite of that in real life. The ones who are incredibly nice are usually dicks in movies and vice versa. So, again, Mist was about Stephen King. It's a horror sci-fi thriller, and it's based in his hometown. A storm hits, and what it does is the mist no one can see in front of them, as mist is. The mist is really, really weird. Shit is happening in the mist, and people can't really understand what the fuck is going on. It is kind of reminds me of like a survival like game type thing, like you got to stay out the mist or you won't survive type thing. Again, she's a religious fanatic in a small town, and come on, whoever's been from a small town will know that there's probably a few religious fanatics and zealots in there. You won't get away from it, unfortunately. And when the unknown happens, what do? They usually turn to religion if they haven't already before, or they turn to the other side, I would say, and they kind of hit for the bat. Is it the bat for the bad side kind of thing? But I like The Mist. I thought it was a good. It was a good movie. And there's plenty of Stephen King films that actually show zealots and fanaticism about different things. Misery's one fanaticism about Annie. She was a fanatic about the writer and would have done anything, and she did. She kidnapped him and she tortured him, basically. Where does Stephen King's brain go to write this shit? That's what I want to know. Was in the water. I mean, the Mademoiselle and Martyrs, creepy. Again, I can't really remember that film. Hereditary, that was messed up. I seen the trailer for that at the cinema. I remember that, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Because I really like Toni Collette, and when I seen like the wee girl was just like creepy. Again, what is it with creepy wee girls? Hereditary is just it's bizarre because I didn't know what it was actually. I didn't know what it was actually supposed to be about originally, because the kind of trailer that I seen in the cinema wasn't clear. You just saw like the kind of dollhouse type thing, and the wee girl was creepy and around a table. It was just, I've only seen the film once, and it was again really, really strange. You've got Gabriel Byrne, he's brilliant as well in that movie. Millie Shapiro, who plays the wee girl. Toni Collette is the mother. And it's just weird shit happens around her daughter, and there's just no way of understanding why, but it does. So it's got a lot of weird types of topics that are covered, like the supernatural and the unknown. And the wee girl, it's the face of the wee girl on the cover, man. You know that there's just something is going all wrong. Definitely wrong. It touches on a lot of things like mourning loss, grief, the loss of a grandmother, and grandmothers can be similar to your actual mother. And it's just the weirdest take on loss. And apparently, the tagline is every family tree hides a secret. It was a 15 and it was drama, horror, mystery, thriller. But this one makes you think. I've got to say, it really, really, really does make you think. Another movie that I wanted to talk about was Get Out. Get Out's another similar movie again. And when you first see the trailer for this movie, a mixed race couple, and the girl in the couple, the woman in the couple, is actually Marnie from Girls. Her name's Alison Williams. She takes her boyfriend home to meet her parents. Now, her parents live in this. Her parents are Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener, are the actors that play them. And it's, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, they can't be making this because it's coming across as incredibly racist, saying that if you're white, you obviously are that you have a hatred for someone with a different color of skin. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And the cover of it just really freaks me out with the black and white and him on the, the really iconic chair that he sits in the movie. And it is the weirdest thing ever. Everybody in this little town, including her parents, are basically, it's like they're brainwashing the African American people, whether they've came to visit or just came to their town, basically, and they are treated way different. They work for them like it's kind of stereotypical rich big houses and their help, but they're all like controlled and very, very strange, very, very weird, manipulating them, performing sorts of, no, I wouldn't say it's tests, but they're performing things, manipulative tactics, so that they can put them in their place, it feels like. But her boyfriend doesn't understand like what the hell is going on. He knows there's something weird, and he's told like from someone he knows that African American people have been going missing and never been heard from after they've like been to this place. And Alison's mother is, I think, by far the worst one. She is a crazy fanatic, and zealot, to the point of she kind of has made them have like break the African American people who are working for them and who are stuck in this town, and they basically have nothing else. They literally are not themselves anymore. And again, that's another thing, brainwashing, very cultish behaviour, but it's another way of showing the fanaticism and a different way of showing religion. It's about society and standards, and it's showing how people with maybe the same beliefs and the same outlook of what they want from where they live or how they live, and they're similar like-minded people, so they are doing everything in this big ass group, and it's their beliefs, and that's it basically. And if you're not, it sounds bad, it sounds incredibly racist, it even says it in the things. I had to double check that racism was going to come up in it, but it's hypnosis, racism, African American, neurosurgeon, and satire. Yes, it does have satirical parts, but it's the iconic role of the teacup and her stirring it, and the main character's boyfriend is the tears running down his face. It's again a manipulation, hypnosis, and brainwashing, because this crazy ass fucking cult. I still get mindfucks about it, even thinking about it today. Absolutely. Don't know where that idea came from. I don't know where they went and how they got there, but they did, and it made you fucking think. The tagline for this movie is, just because you're invited doesn't mean you're welcome now. I feel that way, and a lot of people do, no matter who you are. An invitation doesn't mean that you're necessarily welcome or wanted there. It's a horror mystery thriller, and I do agree that it's all those things, and I believe that the movies that I actually have named, if I've seen them or not, have their place in this topic, in this genre, which is religion and horror, of religious zealots and fanaticism. If there's any other movies you think I should add to that list, if you just let me know in the comments below. Some movies in these episodes can overlap due to the topics. They're not just simple, they can be complex, and they do overlap. Who is the best zealot in the movies? I think I actually have, probably it would be Carrie's mum. I think she's the most prime example of a zealot is Margaret White, Carrie's mother. And also Rosemary's Baby and The Omen and The Mist. Out of that, I think Margaret White is the epitome of a zealot and fanatic, sorry. Real life zealots, there are some right now. To discuss would most likely have me silenced or cancelled, as whenever religion, money, and power come into the mix, then you will no doubt create a war and war zones. And as we have said before, the shit that is happening in real life, this is what makes us retreat to movies and books about similar topics, but we know they are fiction, as the world that we live in, to be honest, is fucked. and, well, isn't resolving itself anytime soon. Would we like to see something based around on what's happening right now with fanaticism and zealots? Yes, there is a possibility that this can be touched on, but carefully, hopefully, and with finesse. You need someone who is passionate about this genre and the topics within this genre to actually be able to pull this off without one offending people or being cancelled for actually even discussing it. To capture it, you need a special type of person because you don't want to attack people. You want to make sure that you get all avenues and angles covered without offending, without attacking, and approaching it in the way it should. Your people are going to get pissed off by everything. So if you, again, we've said it plenty of episodes, people are going to get annoyed. People are going to get pissed off. And not everyone is going to like everything that you say. It happens in real life, not just on podcasts or on social media and on the big screen, on the little screen. It happens all the time, no matter what. There'll be something that someone says you don't fucking like. And even if you do have a discussion about it, someone's still going to get butthurt. There are just some topics when facts are brought into it can make it more scary that we as humans subject our fellow humans, and there is a thin line between it. And again, if done incorrectly, then we all get the cancel culture hammer, don't we? If we do it right, sometimes you still get the cancel culture hammer. That's the thing. It's finding that happy medium between everything without offending, without coming across as hating a religion or being hateful towards someone's beliefs. It's a really, really thin line. It's just one of those things, I suppose. I don't know if it will ever evolve to anything or become better. You never know. These topics aren't for the faint-hearted, which we are aware, and this is why we are trying to explain them as well as we can without offending anyone. So, who do you think portrays a zealot and fanaticism in horror in cinema? Who do you think that is the best at that? Do you agree with me that Margaret White is probably the best one from the original and the remake? Who do you think would be great at portraying a zealot / fanatic in religious horror? I'm going to say someone that I'm actually putting a podcast out for his birthday is Matthew Lillard. I think he'd be great as a zealot and fanatic because technically he actually has a fanaticism in Scream when him and Billy go on a killing spree because they want to fulfill bucket list or a dream of taking out all the people that they think have done wrongdoings, and they work together and take out basically as many as they can. But I think Matthew Lillard would be incredibly good at playing a religious zealot and fanatic. Joaquin Phoenix as well, he would be really good because he's another one of those actors who is a method actor. Even, I think, Timothy Chalamet, if that's how you say his name, because I can't pronounce his name. I've come around to him. I really have. And he's a very talented young man and an amazing actor. Really, really, really good in June. And he's done so many different roles. And I really, really can't wait to see his career expand because he's in one of the biggest sci-fi remakes, which is June, getting its dues. And I would really like to see him play either a zealot or a fanatic in some sort of religious horror. I think he would be he would do it incredibly well, and so would Matthew Lillard. What else do you think that we need to see from this topic, and what do we want to see from this topic? Again, we always say research, but I think they should maybe try and do it for this generation. Find something that we all can relate to and look to and go, yeah, I can understand why that happened. But why did they not do this? They could have did this, they could have did that. Doing something for the 21st century so, future generations can come back and go, maybe we should remake that movie from like 2024 or 25 or 2030. Maybe we should like remake that movie and give someone the inspiration to evolve the story, to elaborate a wee bit more. And that's what we always say. If you're going to remake something, please remake it in your own vision, but don't fuck with the original. Don't fuck with the lore of the story, especially if the stories came from a book or it's actually from true events. Don't fuck it up. Make sure you have enough of the originality there, and then you can expand easy enough. Do you think we need to go back to the drawing board? Do we need to go into a deep research mode and find a story that hasn't had its voice heard and bring it to our attention. Yeah, there's probably a few, especially with a lot of true crime. There's a lot of things that you don't want to hear or see about even right now or in 10 years' time. There's a few cases that I don't find well that they're going to make light, or it will be based on true events, or it will be based around something that is from one of these heinous crimes that have happened. Do we feel like this topic has been oversaturated? I don't think so. There hasn't been very many zealot and fanaticism type horror movies in a while. I think the most recent one would have been Get Out. Religious zealot slash horror in sort of way, because it's like their own religion, something that they've kind of created to keep the town the way it is and keep these traditions actually alive. So that was like 2017, was it not? Yeah, 2017 that was out. And that was 7 years ago, so I don't think there's been anything really that has. 2019, sorry, for Midsummer again, that's still another 5 years. And I don't think we've had anything really else. Who do we want to produce this or run with this? Who would be best for this topic? Again, if you have to ask me, who do I think would be good to run with this? Then you really don't know us. We're going to pick Blumhouse. Blumhouse, again, I would love them to pick a movie from each of the subjects or the topics within horror and just like come up with something new, yet has original concepts and ideas, and spinning it for this world or this time, because we live in a world of unknowing. At the best of times, the world has been through shit and need to maybe they could do something that's based around the things that we're going through right now, or we have done in the past few years, and kind of put a spin on it that way. The power of belief, fanaticism type zealot things with the stuff to do with the pandemic and things like that. That would probably be a good idea on how to spin that. So that was Confessions from the Dark Side, Religion and Horror, Religious Zealots and Fanaticism. What did you think of that episode? Was it as good as you expected? What's been your favourite part so far? Let us know. Remember to follow us on social media. Our platforms are Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is X, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Buzzsprout. Come join us on the dark side. We are waiting for you. You can like, share, comment on each and every photo that we are going to post. You will find out when we are posting, because it will show up on your email letting you know. You can catch us both on Instagram, WhatsApp, Instagram, and our Facebook group, X. If you want to contact us via email, you can contact us from Behind the Mash Reviews, and the E's are 3s, and the S in mask is a 5 at gmail.com, and we have LunarXRising at gmail.com, and Confessions from the Dark Side, all lowercase, all one word, at gmail.com. Let us know if there's any other podcasts you think that we're missing from our little community here. Please let us know in the comments below, and we will get on that research and see what we can come up with. I'm Darcy Darkness, and that was Religion and Horror, Religious Zealots and Fanaticism, and this is Confessions from the Dark Side. Later.